Hello, I would like to refer to a write-up that was in the New York Times on May 17, 2016 by Joseph Berger. The title is Sexual Abuse Questions Swirl Around Yeshiva Leader in Kiryas Joel. It was in the New York region section. The story is about a principal who was there a lot of years, maybe 35, 40 years. Now, every year he was there, it's a shame for the Jewish community and for a Jewish school to have such an immoral principal for so many years. People knew about it. Everybody's talking about it. His own grandchild came and told me that he hated the way his grandfather used to hug him and kiss him and pushing them and shake them. It's a joke. People still say that this is not a sexual misconduct. Then I'd like to figure out what is a sexual misconduct. So this Rabbi Moshe Hesh Klein is on video, and it's no lie about it. Like the Satmar people always like to say, it's not true, it never happened. You know, the typical way that they do it. I mean, I've seen the whole time how they fought sexual abuse. But here, they can't say it's not true because there's a video. There's rumors in the community that Satmar wants to sue now the people who gave out this video because it should have been private information. But I take a disclaimer. I don't know how much truth is in it, or maybe it's just a threat, but this is the way these Satmar people always work. First they lie, then they deny, and then they want to sue, and that's how they get away with everything, unfortunately. At the end of the day, they didn't even have to go through all this because they don't care what anybody says. They do what they want. The government is with them. When the governor needs a favor from them, he calls them up, and vice versa. We had the incident where he wanted to push through the casinos. He called Satmar, I want the votes. So one hand washes another, especially when they're dirty and filthy. So they're not afraid. I don't even know why they had to go through this whole thing. They could have told the FBI, listen, we're going to keep him anyway, over and above everybody, because there will never come anybody to press charges. Can you imagine if the father or the mother of this boy would come and press charges? You know what would happen? They would be hamburgers in the next few hours. They would be ground meat. And this is the way they run this show. That's what they've been doing to everybody. Scaring them off, putting them in ostracization, and they are not going to correct themselves. Now, the only hope is that there will be lawsuits. There won't be lawsuits either, because they're going to make sure it's not going to be. This is an organized mafia that the United States government is allowing them to operate, and not only that they allow them to operate, they also finance them. And this is what hurts. It's taxes of the people of the United States. And they're abusing the system all along, all these years. You know what happened? They always had people fighting, and the police were bought off. The police never put in reports. It's a joke. Anyway, we're all hurt. There are so many parents that come and cry to me, what should we do? And I tell them, listen, get together at least 100 people and start protesting, and then go down in the office where the money is being sent out from the government. I show them that their money is going into waste. That's all. It's going to intimidate citizens, to steal and rob the education from the children, and they're going to be living zombies. They're going to go out in the world. They will have no source of income, no jobs, and then you're going to start seeing the whole damage what went on. Plus, there's so many people that are going to be molested, and they'll have mental problems as well. Now, my hotline is just teaching them how to be conscious about what's going on. But God forbid if an animal like this principal, Rabbi Moshe Hesh Klein, can take a boy and rub him and squeeze him and torture him for who knows how many minutes, and this is all accepted? Well, if we have an animal like this, there's nothing we can do. We can only teach them that they should tell the children not to get stuck with people who do immorality. But if he is the principal and he calls in the child, what can we do? So we're asking the government, is there any way you can stop sending the money for those schools, they're all abusing the money and the children. And it's not only Satmar and Kiryas Yisrael, it's almost every school that we know. They all do their justice system by going to the rabbis, and the rabbis take money, and they are also employees, and therefore it doesn't come to any end. Now, I want to ask a question to the United States government. You really feel that this is not sexual abuse? Do you really feel that this is appropriate to do with the child? Well, if you do, would you let this happen in a public school? So why should we be worse than the public schools? Why? Because we're private and we have the law of separation of church and state. Listen, when you're giving all the money, there is no separation. And if there's no separation, you should not be giving them any money. No private school should get money. So let's be fair about it. Whatever you don't allow in a public school, you should not allow in private schools. Now, if you won't allow this in a public school, you would put the principal or whoever does this, you would put him what they call the rubber room, the bouncing room. Well, they should put him in the same rubber room, and he should go through the legal system, and the ACS should be aware that the father cannot come and testify, neither can the mother come. So they should take the child in custody of the ACS, and they should come and fight, because otherwise we'll never climb out of this. We're going worse and worse and deeper in this child sexual abuse in the Orthodox community. We're teaching the people. It's moving forward very, very strong. But again, if it's a rabbi or a teacher or a principal that the child has to go to his office and obey his rules, then they're finished. They come home and they can tell their mother, I was raped, molested. Nothing is going to go further, because the principal has the mafia, his gangsters, and they got the village, and it's all paid by the government, the tax money. Next. This article was written by Joseph Berger. I would rather call him Rabbi Joseph Berger, because he stole my title as Rabbi Nachum Rosenberg. This article is so lopsided that it's unbelievable that a journalist, after so many years, and I saw his book that he wrote, should be such a one-way, one-track mind to help pedophiles and to help the yeshivas. It's a shame that the New York Times has such a reporter. Now, I'm not arguing about his opinion that he has that this is all okay. I mean, that's what he's writing in the article. That's not for me to say yes or no. I say no. He would say yes. It's my opinion against his opinion. Well, where I can show you is that he's lopsided, and I want the New York Times to hear what I say, because he should go through your special bureau to find out why he did this. Now, he has a picture of Joel Gluck of Kiryas Joel defending Rabbi Moshe Hersh Klein, saying that he had a loving way of dealing with kids. I would like to know, Rabbi Moshe Hersh Klein's father-in-law was Mr. Gluck, Azriel Gluck. He was the personal butler from the late Rabbi Joel Teitelbaum. Now, the question is, did Mr. Joseph Berger ask this Mr. Gluck if he has any relations with the principal, Rabbi Moshe Hersh Klein? And again, he quotes another Gluck. His name is Meiler Gluck. He claims he's a marriage counselor. And I think that he is the brother-in-law of Rabbi Moshe Hersh Klein. So what are you giving me the business for? And also he says he's a very warm person. I can tell you that too. It's unbelievable. And it says he's an emotional person. He's maybe emotional, but he's emotionally disturbed. When he prays, he cries, that's fine, but that has nothing to do with hugging a boy and squeezing him and torturing him. So that's a part of the article. Now we're going to get to the end of the article. He says here, Mr. Rosenberg, who did not respond to a message left on his hotline, has posted a video on YouTube in which he calls the episode at the yeshiva a heinous crime. Okay, now, first of all, I would like to ask Mr. Joseph Berger, are you an ordained rabbi? Well, if you are, then I would understand why you took away my title, Rabbi Nachum Rosenberg. But if you are not an ordained rabbi, so what are you going to do with the title? So you stole it from me, and with all the respect, you're not going to be able to do anything with it. So what are you going to throw it away? Now you're saying here Nachum Rosenberg, and if you click on Nachum Rosenberg, you got the name from the chemical chemical throwing at rabbi who aided victims of abuse, which was also in the New York Times in December 11, year 2012. And that was written by Sharon Otterman. And it says there distinctly Rabbi Nochem Rosenberg. So how did you all of a sudden steal my title? That is deadly wrong. And I can tell you, I can assure you why you did it, because this is the way Satmar runs their show. They see that they're losing, so they're defaming. So I am not the rabbi, I'm just Nochem Rosenberg. But it makes no difference. I don't care who I am. As long as you did something wrong, you have to confront the problem and try to solve it. Whether I'm Mr. or Rabbi, or just a plain ordinary person. You're making a fool of yourself. Now watch what happened at the end. Since they saw that they got a good write-up in the New York Times, so then they took Channel 12 and they start kicking on Channel 12. They're saying that Channel 12 is anti-Semites. Well, I can understand you call a person an anti-Semite if there wasn't a video. But if there is a video, and it's just now your opinion against our opinion, you're saying that he is an emotional person, and we agree he's emotionally disturbed. And we're saying that whatever he is, he should never be in a school, a principal of boys. So why does Channel 12 become anti-Semites? This is the way Satmar always worked and fought. Defaming, lying about everybody, calling everybody names, and then they think that they're going to win. And this is why the writer, Mr. Joseph Berger, did a heinous mistake. Just like these Satmar people did a heinous crime with this boy, he did a heinous mistake. He should have never taken one side and put an article that it should show that these people are right, especially when it came with a lot of injustice. Now, let's continue. It says here, Mr. Rosenberg, who did not respond to a message left on the hotline, has posted a video on YouTube in which he calls the episode at the yeshiva a heinous crime. So let me understand. I'm going to give you here exactly the time and date when Mr. Berger called me. He called me that same day that the article went out. So even if I was able to respond, he called me about 10:30 in the morning, and it's already out about 1, 2, or 3 o'clock on the websites and on the internet. So let's say I would have wanted to call him back. Does he have to give me a few hours to be called back? He should, right? Especially he did a dirty joke. He didn't call my personal phone. He called the phone on the blog, which I don't check every hour, rather than using my personal phone, which the New York Times knows my number. It has been many times that they called me, knows my phone, because Sharon called me many times, and I came down to the New York Times office many times. They have my number, and they have a few numbers of mine. So this Mr. Berger did a crime in journalism, and he called me on my blog, and he gave me 2 or 3 or 4 hours until he prints his article. You should have never put there that you called me and that I didn't answer the phone. I have your phone, and I'm going to put it on so everybody could listen. What a dirty joke you played, Mr. Berger. You called me in a number where you won't be able to reach me, and then you'll say that I tried to reach Mr. Rosenberg. Shame on you. And now, with all due respect, Mr. Berger, I'd like to ask you a question. If you have children or grandchildren, would you let them stay in a school where the principal acts like this? Well, if the answer is no, then you have no business saying that the people don't feel it's a crime and the people think it's good because he's emotional. If you wouldn't let your child go through this trauma, don't let anybody else's children go through this trauma. And now I'm going to put you on the time and date that you called. It's all recorded, and you know when you gave out the final article.
Rabbi Rosenberg, it's Joe Berger of the New York Times. My number is 914-833-3951. I'm calling about the Rabbi Moshe Hirsch Klein abuse video that is circulating. And there was a police raid on Thursday, and I wanted to talk to you about that. I'm doing a story for tomorrow's newspaper, so please call me as soon as you can, 914-833-3951. My cell is 914-672-9447. Look forward to talking to you, Rabbi Rosenberg. Take care.
This message had been received on May 17 at 10 hours 30 minutes a.m.
And if you couldn't reach me and you used the gimmick to call my hotline and I didn't call back, you should never have put in the paper that I did not return the call. I do return my calls, and I'm not afraid to confront you, and I'm not afraid to confront Rabbi Moshe Hersh Klein, and I'm not afraid to confront Satmar. Those people threatened me with my life many times. You'll kill me, but I'm not running away because we can't let the pedophiles win the war. And in one part, we're winning 100% because the awareness is here and people tell their children and children watch out. But on the other hand, if there is an animal like Moshe Hersh Klein, he's an animal. He's not even considered a human being if he can do that to children in his age especially. So this animal is the principal, and the children have to go to the principal because he calls them, and then we still have no solution how to save these children. Thank you, Mr. Berger. I appreciate your going lopsided, and I do appreciate that you're fighting against God's children. They should not be safe. Thank you, Mr. Berger, and thank you again. And this is in the name of all these parents and children who are afraid to go into these schools, these private Jewish schools, because of incidents like this, and the times and the politicians stick up for the pedophiles. Thank you.